Hello and good morning and welcome to this Monday morning reading. This is the weekly reading and predictions for the week of May the 22nd. This is a holiday here in Canada. Also, my son and I are in the process of packing up, and so I don't have my rocks, gems, or trinkets out right now. They are already packed up. I am still in Medicine Hat, Alberta, and I am again borrowing my cousin's man cave. Thank you, John. Okay. For those of you who are coming back, thank you so much for returning. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. And for those of you who are new here, a very warm welcome. Just really quickly, how this works. Each Monday morning, I jump on and I do 3 separate readings. The reason I do 3 separate readings is so that you can find a reading that resonates with you. I will put timestamps in the description down below. Now, normally I would ask you to go into a light meditative state, and from that meditative state, I would ask you to choose one of 3 predetermined rocks, gems, or trinkets. Like I said, my rocks, gems, and trinkets are in a box packed up already for our move, which is coming up this week. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to present the decks that I'm going to use to each of you. So from a light meditative state, I will ask you to decide which deck you are drawn towards, and then we'll get started. Okay. So if you can find somewhere comfortable, we're going to go into a very, very light, brief meditation. Now, for some people, especially people who are new to spiritual awakening, people who are new to meditation, they may seem a little bit intimidated when they're asked to go into a light meditative state. Rest assured that for the purposes of this video, we're only talking about 5 minutes max. So let's get started. Make yourself as comfortable as possible in your chair or on your bed or on the floor, whatever is most comfortable for you. You can sit cross-legged, as this is just going to be a short meditation. You can stretch out, lay out, sit with your feet flat on the floor, or have them tucked up underneath you, whatever is most comfortable for you. And as you are making the last minute, last adjustments to your physical body, begin to tap into your breath. Pay attention. Did your respiration go up as you began moving around? What about your heart rate? Can you tap into your heart rate? Did it too increase as you began moving around? Was there a sense of anticipation about going into a meditative state? Or were you able to maintain a calm? Pay attention to all of these things. All of these things are important in the initial stages of going into a light meditative state. Paying attention to our respiration, paying attention to our heart rate, paying attention to our bodies in general are very important aspects of being able to tap into ourselves. Continue to pay attention. You may have your eyes open or closed. Pay attention to your breath. See if you're able to actually hear your own heart beating. Whether you're able to actually hear your own heart beating, place your hand over your heart. It could be your left hand or your right hand, whatever is most comfortable for you. And just tap in. Tap into yourself. Pay attention. And ask that you be divinely guided. That you be divinely guided on whatever it is that you do today. Take another deep breath in. And as you release that breath, relax more deeply and open your eyes. Okay. From this truly relaxed state, I'm going to present 3 decks of cards to you. Before you make your decision, wait until all 3 decks have been presented. The first deck today is the Angels and Ancestors. This deck is by Kyle Gray. My box is a little bit mucky from having traveled so much. The second deck that I'm going to present you with today is the Traditional Tarot. These are gilded, shiny cards. So if you are guided towards this particular deck, I'll be pulling cards for you today from deck number 2, the Traditional Tarot. Where are we going for the last deck? Let's go over to the Fairy Tarot. So if you are divinely guided and intuitively drawn towards the Fairy Tarot, it will be reading number 3 today. So again, reading number 1 will come from the Angels and the Ancestors. Reading number 2 will come from the Traditional Tarot. And reading number 3 will come from the Fairies. Please make your decision now and check the timestamps down below. I do just want to say, first of all, these are general readings. And if the reading is coming to you at this time, then it will likely resonate. Also, if you were drawn towards one of these decks and then a second deck was presented and you went, "Ooh, maybe it was that one instead," I highly recommend that you watch both of those videos because there's a chance that there's a message in both decks specifically for you. Oftentimes as well, if you're drawn towards 2 different decks, then what can happen is there's often a common theme in the messages that those decks present in any given week. All right, let's get started. For those of you who selected the Angels and Ancestors, let's get started. We're going to have a look at your dominant energies, and we're going to have a look at some shadows that may be influencing you this week. Dominant energies for those who selected the Angels and the Ancestors. Angels and Ancestors. Is there anything else? Any other message this week? Okay. Okay, and we have just one card that's come out for you. The card that's come out for you this week is the Warrior. Be fearless and stand strong. This is a message indicating that you may be at that point where you're coming through a difficult time, where you're coming through something that you've experienced that was uncomfortable. And for some of you, I'm sensing that you felt it was undeserved. Okay. Now, here's the thing. When we're being called upon to be the warrior, the only way that we can be a warrior is to let go of the victim mentality. If there is even an ounce of victim mentality wherein you feel hard done by, you feel like you were wronged. Okay, you may have been wronged, but if you choose to live in that I've been wronged, I'm a victim mentality for a long period of time, your inner warrior will never have the opportunity to thrive. Okay. And the problem that we're having today in society in general, and this started probably in and around the 80s, and it's been progressing and it's been expanding and it's been getting worse, is we have been told that we are victims. time and time and time again. When we're told that we are victims, we give away our power if we believe that. And so what I'm picking up for many of you, and I know that right now, some of you are turning this off because you're going, I'm not a victim. I'm not listening to this. If you are having that type of knee-jerk reaction, you probably are. I'm sorry. And I may lose viewers for saying this, but I have always said that my videos and my readings will be authentic. And sometimes hearing things we don't want to hear is important. So, for those of you who selected the angels and ancestors this week, your inner warrior wants to come out this week. This warrior is fearless. This warrior wants you to stand strong. This warrior wants you to no longer be a victim and recognize how magical and how powerful you truly are. Here's the thing. The vast majority of us were raised in the traditional industrial type nation. Most of us were raised in both religious and educational institutions that were created for the purposes of I'm trying to find the right words here. Really for the purposes of not allowing us to realize our own true potential and our own true power. And the fact that we have the capacity to be strong. We have the capacity to be fearless. Now, like I said, some people probably turned this video off as soon as they heard me saying that there was a possibility that they had been living in victim mode. For those of you who have made it this far, congratulations. That means that you are ready, willing, and able to step up and step into the role of the warrior. This video is not intended to slam you or criticize you. This video is meant to encourage you. This video is meant to be positive. It's meant to keep you accountable. And it's meant to inspire you to be a better you. Leaving your victim behind and stepping into the role of a warrior, stepping into that fearless being. And I'm not talking about going out and fighting somebody by any means, but definitely if you have a dream, follow it. Here's the thing. This is coming up for me really strong right now. Many people look at successful people and they see the successful person going from here to here in a straight line, never having been fired, never having been dumped by a boyfriend or girlfriend, never having lost a loved one, never having had to experience any kind of loss or disappointment. They see this successful person going in a straight line from here to here. What they don't realize is they're looking at the end result of somebody who went like this, through losses, through being a victim and not holding on to that victim mentality. Somebody who experienced the loss of a loved one, somebody who was dumped, somebody who ended up on the verge of bankruptcy, or maybe even having had to declare bankruptcy. That's the successful person. Because they were empowered by those losses rather than being disempowered by holding on to being a victim. That is what this card is all about for you guys this week. I sense that the vast majority of you are striving towards being this successful person over here. And you have hit roadblocks and bumps and losses along the way. And the best way to become this successful person, this fearless person over here, is to lick your wounds, have a look at your losses, and say, what could I have done better? How could I have changed things? And then move forward. That's really what this is all about. Okay, let's have a look at what your shadow is this week. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to look at 3 cards here as your shadow this week. Okay, so the first card, the first shadow that you have is the summer card, Bask in the Joy and Light. It's not surprising that you have this card and this card coming up. This is your dominant energy this week. You are being asked to step up and step into the warrior. And so it's not surprising in your shadow that you have this summer card. This is something that is bubbling or brewing below the surface, or perhaps you're consciously aware of it, that when you are in that victim role, you are unwilling to step up and actually bask in the joy and light and enjoy life. The other thing I want to point out is that this card with the bee on it represents community. When we are in that role of saying, woe is me, sure, it's fine to say, okay, there's 2 ways of looking at this. This is coming up for me. It's fine to say, why did this happen to me? Why did I get dumped? Why did I have an accident? Why did I lose my job? Why did I lose money? Why did I make such a silly decision? It is fine to ask those questions in the manner in which I just asked them, where you're actually going to dig deep and explore you. What it's not okay to do is say, oh, why did I get dumped? Oh, why did I have an accident? Oh, now I can live in this role and people need to help me and take care of me. Oh, why did I get fired? It's his fault that I got fired. Do you see the difference? So when we're in that role of, oh, we have an inability to surround ourselves with community. Interesting, right? We think that when we're in the victim role, we're actually going to surround ourselves with community, but the reality is that we don't. The reality is that when you're in that woe is me mindset, people don't want to be around you. And even at that, it makes it more difficult for you to bask in the light. So the reason that I wanted to pull another card for you with regards to your shadows is the guardian angel has come up. The guardian angel reminds you that you are not alone in this. You have angels around you, and perhaps the reason that certain things have happened to you is because there are lessons in them. And when you look at it from that perspective, all of a sudden you grow into this powerful warrior. You also have the sun here in your shadows because it came from the bottom of the deck. I want to point out that this is the summer card. This is the sun card. You have a theme going on here. This is about enjoying your success and your happiness. Well, it's hard to enjoy your success and happiness if you are coming at things from an angle that keeps you, excuse me, that keeps you in a victim type role. So what are these cards telling us? Become the warrior. Because when you become the warrior, the sun comes out for you. You can bask in joy and happiness. Your guardian angels will actually put in an appearance for you and let you know, woohoo, they'll celebrate with you and show you good things. Community will rejoin you and you can go out there and enjoy your summer. Okay. Let's move on to those who selected the traditional tarot. Just going to move the last deck off to the side here so that the energies of that reading won't influence your reading. All right. Dominant energies for those who selected the traditional tarot this week. Oh, okay. We've got 2 cards out. We've got another one that jumped and then went back in the deck. We've got 2 more flying out. Okay, anything else? Okay. Oh, that one that jumped out and then went back in the deck, look at what it did. All right, we're going to pull it out as well. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this was the first card out, second card. This one I'm going to count as the third card because it did jump and then we had 2 more come out. So you have a lot going on this week. Okay. Huh. Okay. You have 3 cards from the Major Arcana coming in. You have the 5 of Swords and you have the 3 of Swords coming in this week. What this is telling me is that you guys have a rather complicated week this week. You've got a lot of energies coming in. The first card that you have is the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man is about major transformation this week. Why? Because you are beginning to see things from a different perspective. It can also indicate that you're at a crossroads where you've got a decision that you're going to need to make at some point in time. And the only way that you're going to be able to make that decision with clarity is to kind of hang from your toenails and be able to see things from a different perspective and perhaps even be able to see things from someone else's perspective. Now, I don't say that lightly because one of the things is that the vast majority of us who watch videos like this, who are seeking advice from psychics and tarot readers, are also somewhat more awakened, but we're very empathic. And for people who are extremely empathic, we have a problem when we see things from somebody else's perspective. Why? Because we become overly compassionate towards their cause and we lose ourselves. Sound familiar? So this card is asking you to see things from all of the different angles, including your own, before making a decision this week. The next card that you have is also a card about making decisions. It's the Hierophant. And the Hierophant is about looking at institutions, religious institutions, societal institutions, educational institutions. It's about looking at the way that we were raised and looking at societal norms, familial norms, and really, really taking a deep dive and deciding, does that still resonate with me? Does what my mom told me was the right thing to do when I was 5 years old still resonate with me when I'm 35, when I'm 55, when I'm 60? Is this still right for me? It may have been right for me when I was young and single. Is it still right for me now as a parent? Okay. This is what the Hierophant brings up for us. And so these 2 cards coming up together and back to back like this week is telling me that there is some stuff from your past coming in, and it's making you take a good hard look at the why and the perspective, why we do the things we do and the perspective. Okay. What is that going to bring up for us this week? Well, we have a 5, and it's the 5 of Swords. Now, whenever we have a 5 come up in the tarot, what does it mean? It means that we are at a crossroads. It means that we have some decisions to make. The 5 of Swords in particular represents a double-edged sword. Uh-oh. The thing is, when we get the Hangman and the Hierophant together, it is a double-edged sword. We didn't need the Five of Swords to come out and tell us that. It means that we're at a crossroads. It means that we have a tough decision to make. The next card that you have is actually a truly amazing card. When you're sitting here trying to make these decisions, see things from a different perspective, when you're questioning the way that you were raised and the morals, this is a card of morality, really, the Hierophant. When you're questioning all of that, the decision that you have to make can become a double-edged sword. But once you actually make a decision, now, this is a reading specifically intended for this week. What this is telling me is that from Monday, Tuesday, maybe into Wednesday, you're going to be wrestling with this decision, wrestling with all of these all this big stuff. By the time you get to around Thursday, you're going to make a decision. When you make that decision, things will become magical. You have the Magician. And the Magician is about realizing how powerful you really are and realizing that you can create your own future. Now, I'm going to encourage you to go and watch a little bit of the very first reading that I did with the Angels and Ancestors deck, because guess what their common theme was this week? Their dominant energy was this warrior. So once you make a decision this week, your inner magician comes out and you become truly magical and you have the opportunity to create the life that you want and move forward. But this is coming in with a caveat because there's one more card here. And the last card is the Three of Swords. And what this card is telling me is that when you have to make this decision, right, it will be a double-edged sword decision. In other words, most of the time we like to keep our tarot readings positive and everything else. But what this is telling me with both the Five of Swords and the Three of Swords here with this decision making is that on the other side of your decision, someone is likely to feel hurt. Is that such a bad thing? Well, yes and no. Okay. Let's put this angle on it, okay? Nobody likes to hurt someone else, especially when we are empathic. When we have a decision to make that may hurt somebody else's feelings, we don't like to make those decisions. But ultimately, at some point in time, for our own well-being, we have to make those decisions. When we make those decisions, rather than looking at it as, oh my God, I've hurt someone else, look at it that, yes, you've hurt someone else and you feel very badly for that. But that is also part of their learning process. The fact that you two were brought together for some reason, whether it be a family member, whether it be someone out in society, whether it be a boyfriend, whether it be a business associate, the fact that you guys were brought together for the purposes of having some type of interaction, and then you had to perhaps say, this is no longer working for me and walk away. That was your path to walk. And the other person's path to walk was also their path to walk. And there was a lesson in that for them. Now they can choose to step into the role of victim, or they can choose to step into the role of warrior. And again, if you have this coming up for you, if this is resonating with you, I encourage you to have the other person watch the Angels and Ancestors reading at the beginning of this video. Why? Because I go really, really deeply into being a victim versus being a warrior. And being a warrior is really, really empowering. Being a magician is really empowering. It's got similar type energies that you can create the world that you want. But in so doing, every once in a while, somebody may feel hurt. If someone feels hurt, by all means, be empathetic to them, be compassionate to them, but that doesn't mean that you have to compromise your values and go back on the decisions that you've made to become the magician. Let's have a look at your shadow energy. Oh my God, your shadow energy this week. I can't make this up. This came off the bottom of the deck. Is the devil. The devil is about making decisions. Wow. You guys who selected the traditional tarot this week, you have a card of needing to make a decision, a card of needing to make a decision, a card of needing to make a decision. You have 3 major arcana cards, all about decision making. The one that you have on the bottom of the deck is the devil. What does the devil signify to us? The devil is a card of, well, first of all, have a look at material things. See if you're coming from the point of being materialistic. The devil can speak to that. But the devil card is about having a little devil over here and having a little angel over here. Which one is going to speak more loudly to you in this decision-making process? Is the little devil going to speak more loudly and guide you towards something that no longer serves your highest good? Or is the little angel going to speak more loudly and guide you on the path to becoming the magician? Is the devil going to lead you astray? Or is the angel going to guide you on your path to bigger and better things? Okay. This is the decisions that you have to make this week. Not always an easy path to walk, but definitely exciting, because once you make these decisions, once this magician comes out and comes alive in your life, I want to say probably by next weekend, yeah, it's going to be actually really, really nice for you, really beautiful. Okay. If you enjoyed this reading and if it resonated with you, I am available for private readings. The information is below. And also, I would love it if you just hit a like or subscribe. All right. Moving along, for those of you who selected the Fairy Tarot, this is the Fairy Tarot by Radley Valentine. Let's get started. Let's have a look at the dominant energies influencing you guys this week. We've got 2 cards coming out. What else? Now we've got 3 cards out, 4 cards out for dominant energies this week. Let's see. I think that's it. I'm not sensing anything else is going to come out of the deck. No. All right. These were the first 2 cards out. This was the next card out, and this was the last one. Okay. Wow. Okay. The major arcana are really, really speaking loudly this week. Now, granted, you don't have the same cards that that the general traditional tarot had, but the traditional tarot ended up with 4 major arcana cards in their reading. And as I turn your cards over, you have 3 major arcana cards coming up. You have the Strength card, you have the Balance card, also known as the Temperance card, and you also have the Empress coming in. You also have the 2 of Spring coming in, also known as the 2 of Wands. So let's get started. The first card that you have influencing you this week is the Strength card. This is a card telling me that you have a challenge or something that you need to overcome, and you're going to have to call upon your inner strength and your inner lion. This card may also indicate that a Leo may be coming in to help you. You yourself may be a Leo, so you'd be relying upon yourself with regards to the inner strength that you're going to require. If you do have a Leo that is close to you, family or friends, you might want to lean on them, reach out to them for some inner strength and encouragement this week, because this is a card of needing to rely on yourself a little bit more this week. Why? Well, you have the Two of Spring here. Whenever a two comes up in the tarot, it is about coming to a crossroads. It's about having to make a decision. A duality presents itself. So when we see the Ace, which is the card right before this in the tarot, the Ace signifies a new beginning. Once we start a new beginning, oftentimes the universe will kind of give us a little bit of a test and say, oh yeah, you could go here instead. Okay. It's usually a minor test where if you've resolved to go forward on a certain path, you're going to just continue on that path. So that's what the Two of Wands is representing. The Two of Wands also represents hard work. That the only way that you're going to achieve things is through hard work. Stands to reason that you have the Strength card next to the Two of Wands. You have the Balance card. The Balance card, again, you have this Leo the Lion represented prominently on this card. You've got two cards with Leo the Lion on them. Interesting, right? This is an indication that lion energy is really, really powerful for you this week, but also, like I said, there's a possibility a Leo may be coming in to help you. You yourself may be a Leo. The Balance card is also the Temperance card from the traditional tarot. And what this card asks you to do is to look at the bigger picture. When you have a decision to be made, as indicated by this Two of Spring, you may have blinders on, right? You may be going through going, okay, I've made up my mind. I'm going here, I'm going here, I'm going here, and be unable to focus on the bigger picture. This card asks you to take everybody's opinion into account, take everyone's point of view into account, lower the blinders a little bit, and then make a decision from that vantage point. It's asking you to not make a decision from the vantage point of having blinders on. That's really about what the Temperance card or the Balance card is about. And the final card that you have this week is the Empress card. Now, again, this is a card of action with creativity, right? The Two of Wands is about putting in some hard work. The Empress is about taking action with creativity. The Empress is also about a really positive outcome, about finally achieving that role that you're looking for, where you can step into the Empress. And this goes for both male and female. Okay. The difference is that you're stepping into a role that has sort of a softer, if you're stepping into the role of the Empress versus the Emperor, this has more to do with creativity, with making the decisions and moving forward. Whereas the Emperor, which has more of a masculine energy, is about stepping into something with more of an intellectual side of things. This is about creativity and emotions. Make your decisions from creativity and emotions. Okay. And when you do, you'll notice that the Empress lives a life of luxury. That's a rather good omen, right? Let's have a look at the card that is on the bottom. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yep. And now you have 4. Yep. So the general tarot reading this week had 4 major arcana come up. And now look at the bottom of the deck. You now have 4 major arcana in your reading as well. What is that telling me? That is telling me that there are super, super powerful energies out there right now influencing an awful lot of people. The final card in your reading is your shadow. This is the Hermit card. What does the Hermit card call upon us to do? It calls upon us to step back, to tap into our own inner knowing, to make decisions from here, to potentially call in a mentor. And it's interesting that I had suggested way back at the strength card at the beginning of your reading that you might want to call in some help or some advice, and that may come from a Leo. That was reinforced by the balance card, again, having Leo the lion on it, saying that you may want to call in some advice. And now you have the Hermit, and the Hermit is about going within yourself in order to make a decision, or calling in a mentor to help you. Now, this is your shadow this week. What does that tell me? It tells me that you may not be taking enough time doing your meditative practice and go within in order to be making your important decisions. And you might not be asking for advice, or if you are asking for advice, you're asking for that advice from the wrong sources. Okay, so just be aware of that. That is not a negative or a criticism. It's more of a now you know, and so you can make a better informed decision. Thank you so much for being here. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. If this resonated with you, I would really love you to hit the like button, maybe even subscribe. And if you're interested, I am available for private one-on-one readings, and the contact information is down below. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you again next Monday.